Hi everyone, welcome back to the Good to Know channel. If you've ever wondered whether that cloud of vapor is actually better for you than a cigarette, or if you just swap one bad habit for a newer looking one, you're in the right place. Today, we're answering the question a lot of people are still confused about. Which is worse, smoking or vaping? But before we dive in, if you find these breakdowns useful, hitting that subscribe button really helps this channel grow and lets me keep making this kind of content to share with you. Thank you. Alright, let's get into it. First, the big picture. Cigarette smoking is still the leading preventable cause of death in many countries. When you burn tobacco, you create thousands of chemicals, being tar, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, benzene, and at least 70 known cancer-causing substances. Those chemicals damage nearly every organ. Lung cancer, COPD, heart disease, stroke, and a long list of other problems are strongly linked to the combustion process itself. Vaping works differently. Most devices heat a liquid, and that's usually containing nicotine, propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, and flavorings, and that's into an aerosol. There is no burning of the tobacco leaf, so you avoid the bulk of those combustion products, tar and carbon monoxide in particular. Multiple reviews from health authorities show that people who completely switch from smoking to vaping have lower levels of many of these toxicants and carcinogens in their bodies. In short and medium-term data suggests vaping poses a smaller fraction of the risk of continued smoking for adult smokers who make a full switch. That doesn't mean that vaping is safe. Nicotine is still highly addictive when it comes from a cigarette or a vape. Many modern devices deliver nicotine very efficiently, and because there's no natural end to that cigarette, people often take more frequent puffs throughout the day. The aerosol can contain flavoring chemicals, heavy metals that leach from the heating coil, like nickel, lead, chromium in some products, and other compounds that irritate the lungs and blood vessels. Cases of serious lung injury, which the CDC strongly linked primarily to vitamin D acetate found in many of the illicit THC-containing vape products during the 2019 and 2020 outbreak. Even the aerosols that claim to contain no nicotine are not risk-free. The base liquids, usually propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin, get heated and can break down into formaldehyde, acetaldehyde, and acrolein, which are chemicals known to irritate and damage lung tissue. Flavorings that are considered safe to eat can become problematic when they're inhaled as an aerosol. Some, for example, like certain buttery or cinnamon type compounds, have been shown in lab studies to cause inflammation, oxidative stress, and cell damage in the airways. Heavy metals from the device's heating element can also show up in the vapor. Research on nicotine-free products has found measurable effects on blood vessels, increased markers on inflammation, and airway irritation, even in short-term use. So, in other words, removing nicotine doesn't magically make the aerosol harmless. You're still inhaling a complex chemical mixture that your lungs and cardiovascular system were never designed to handle regularly. Dual use, smoking and vaping at the same time, appears especially problematic. Studies show higher risks for several diseases compared with exclusive smoking or exclusive vaping. For young people, never smokers, and pregnant women, the message is clear from major health organizations. Do not start. The developing brain is particularly vulnerable to nicotine, and the long-term effects of inhaling these aerosols for decades are still being studied. So which is worse? For someone who already smokes heavily and cannot or will not quit nicotine entirely, completely switching to vaping is likely the less harmful option based on current evidence. Continuing to smoke is worse. Starting either one when you've used nicotine is a bad idea. The absolute best choice for your health is neither. The science is still evolving. Long-term data on exclusive vaping over 20 to 30 years simply doesn't exist yet the way it does for cigarettes. But the difference is toxicant exposure is real and meaningful. If you're trying to quit, talk to a doctor or use proven cessation tools like nicotine patches or nicotine Zym chewables. Check out the link below for direction as to where you can purchase those. If this video helped clear up some of the noise around this topic, let me know in the comments. And again, if you haven't already, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next Good to Know breakdown. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care of yourselves.